Welcome back to A Corporate Time. Ross McCoy is here. How you doing,
Hey,
Ross?
guys. What's going on?
Very good to see you, man.
Yeah.
So, before we started the show...
We want to bring up the Mo Comedy Jam this September 5th
Yeah.
at the
What a
Orlando
pro.
Funnybone. Come see us, and it's all for good cause for Yellow Brick Road Foundation.
Yeah.
MoComedyJam.com for tickets right now.
What a pro. Like,
Yeah.
you can't even throw him off his game ever.
That's going to be a
Ever.
good show.
Dude.
It's at the Funnybone. It's a Thursday
Charlie's
night.
coming back, dude.
Me and
Oh.
Daniel will be there.
Yep.
I know a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
comedians. Yeah.
Sabrina's
from the
gonna be
News
there.
Junkie, Ryan from the Monsters
Yeah,
is
they,
going to be
they
there.
added
Yeah.
Ryan. I know a
Yeah.
bunch of those guys will
Talk
be
to
there.
Rue, Nafasad.
Yeah, we talked.
Oh, you talked to Rue?
She's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
She's the best. I
Yeah,
love Rue. Yeah.
really, really sweet. What
Yeah, yeah.
what a just a fun. She's very fun. And then I know
Austin.
Samantha's gonna be there. She told me she's gonna be there.
And
It's gonna be fun.
Austin Kleeman, he's one of my favorite comics in town, too.
You know,
He's gonna be there, so-
he's the only one I think that I'm not familiar with, and I'm excited to see.
He's a wild man. Like, if you remember Alex Luchin, he's kind of like a baby
Oh,
Alex
wow.
Luchin. I love Austin Kleeman.
I miss Luchin,
Oh, me
man.
too.
I miss him, and I miss his conservative branded beef
That
jerky.
beef jerky, I tell people
That
about
was
all
a
the
good
time.
idea.
It was funny, but beyond that, like, it's very few products will make me laugh if it's a funny product. Like, I don't like funny hot sauces or anything. Like, it's not my thing. But his jerky was not only funny, but it was goddamn good jerky.
He does not mess around.
No.
Like
Does he still do
goes
it?
all into everything. No, it was
What was it? Patriot Man jerky? Or
It was conspiracy theory
That's
jerky.
what it
I
was.
forget what the name of it was, but it was like, Illuminati pyramid flavor or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Luchin doesn't mess around. The jerky was so
It
good.
was so good.
Oh,
Probably why he doesn't do
I
it
think it was too
anymore.
hard to
Yeah.
acquire
Yeah.
and make it at a price point that people would buy jerky at.
Pain
Yeah.
in the ass.
So,
Yes, sir. Something on your mind?
Well, when Ross came in, you made a comment of Ross's gold bracelet. He's
I always
wearing.
do. I love it when Ross comes in and he wears gold because it does remind me of my father.
Yeah.
And I don't have a bracelet, and I don't know if I don't know if I could do it, but I do. I like the jewelry thing. I like it. Ross has a necklace on. He has some jewelry on. It reminds me of just like, I don't know, 70s, 80s, maybe fun. Like, like feathered hair. Like, let's party. Come on.
The
Tiny Dukes.
quintessential,
Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Florida dad.
Yeah.
Has the gold bracelet. The gold. I used to have a gold
My
chain
dad.
that I got from my grandfather.
Look around. I mean, back in the late 80s, early 90s, if you looked around in Florida at any seafood restaurant on a Friday night, you'd see a bunch of men that looked like my father. Polo shirt tucked into tiny khaki dukes, braided belt with some sort of fish on it. You don't have to have that one, but normally you would have that one. Then you'd have like docksiders on. Like boat shoes.
Yeah.
And then my dad would have on a necklace that matched his bracelet, and he'd have on his Rolex.
Yeah.
It was like a Ric Flair seafood Friday night.
And you have boat shoes on, but you haven't been on a boat
No.
in a long
Yeah,
time.
no.
It's
My
been
dad-
years.
No.
Yeah, they've never.
No.
Those shoes have never actually touched a boat.
Yeah, no, they've only touched the wood floors of a terrible seafood restaurant.
Yeah, and it would be super embarrassing if you walk in and a guy's wearing the same Guy Harvey T-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys
But-
both got the sailfish on. Super
This
embarrassing.
was pre-Columbia, y'all. Like, I know that a lot of you guys, your go-to is for your granddad and your dad is to swing by Dick's or swing by Bass Pro Shop and pick up whatever Columbia fishing shirt is on sale because you have no forethought and you're a horrible gift buyer. But this was polos only. Like there was no such thing as those like, oh, this is an SPF 70 shirt that protects me from the sun. That wasn't a thing. My dad was leathery. His arms.
He never
were,
wore sunscreen.
My dad almost looked like Native American or Indian. He was so dark.
If you need that shirt with the big break in the middle of the back to let your sweat out, maybe just stay home.
That's called like the Luke Combs. Yeah, if you have the Luke Combs shirt, sorry, those weren't around. Plus, I don't see Luke Combs wear a bracelet, but I'm gonna have to look into that.
So I had that gold chain, and then I stopped wearing it.
Why?
Partly because I felt first everybody made fun of me.
I never tease you with your gold chain.
Other people made fun of me.
Who?
One
Mr. T, he was like, look how little gold you have around your
Hey,
neck.
sucker, that's a tiny bit of gold. You need more gold.
former head coach of the Washington Redskins that was called the Redskins.
Right.
Jay Gruden made fun of me.
Right, but
Because I wore it to football practice. He's like, take off that effort for Gay's chain. That's what he said.
was there one aspect of your life that Jay Gruden did not make fun of, though?
No, Jay was pretty mean. He
Oh,
was a
yeah,
mean guy.
Yeah, it was locker room talk. Anyway, and when I stopped wearing it, then I took this
Ooh,
is funny.
This reminds me. I bought a cameo from Jay Gruden.
John.
Or John Gruden,
No.
sorry, from John Gruden, and I asked him to comment on the size of my black friend's lips. I was like, how are my black friend's lips? Can you comment on this in a cameo for his birthday? No, I did not. I didn't do it. But I want to do it. But Tom's like, that may not be a good idea. And then I was like, but let's do it.
Well, he wouldn't say it.
No, he's not going to
got
say
him
it.
a lot of
Would
trouble.
he take the money? He take the money, right?
It cost it cost him
deny it.
the lip comments.
Yeah, the
cost him tens of millions.
Yeah,
So he needs that cameo money.
Jesus Christ.
So I got I had the chain in my safe with my rusty revolver,
I like
and
that.
then
Another thing that I like. So far, it sounds very Florida man. You have gold with your guns in a safe.
Now, do you have a safe with a handle that somebody could carry off, or do you have like a floor safe, or God forbid,
Isn't
there's
it
no way,
screwed into the floor?
there's no way it's bolted into the floor.
It was, but then I moved it, and then it went for years, still there, not
Yeah.
bolted to the floor.
Okay.
So someone could just pick it up and take it.
It's
I
a
guess.
loose safe?
But there's nothing valuable in there.
And is it your current house or your old house that has just 4 bolts sticking up out of the ground?
So after I got I had it in my safe, then I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. Crystal wants some jewelry because that's what every Florida man gets his old lady
Well,
for her anniversary.
This is an old joke of mine. Like, I know, do you know the number one thing that I'd be willing to almost bet one of my family members' life on this fact? I think more Florida men have purchased golden dolphin earrings, the earrings that are dolphins nose kissing. My mom had like 38 pairs of gold dolphin earrings because I think my dad bought them for her every year.
So I came up with the idea. I was like, okay, my step grandfather gave me this gold chain. Like my grandmother gave it to me because like he took it off before he left with my dad to go on the boat in the Hurricane Andrew and died out there. And then so she gave me that chain, and so it was like family heirloom kind of.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, and then I wore it when I met Chris. I always used to wear it in high school.
Tommy, take this chain, and right before you die, take it off and give it to
I
somebody.
mean, I have one.
I
from-
plan on doing it Lieutenant Dan.
I have my grandma's. My grandma had like a golden, some Native American gold piece or something that's set in a rose gold, like almost like a curio with a very beautiful necklace on it. And I'm like, and then I'm supposed to pass that on to Maisie, and I'm almost thinking, I'm like, no, I'm gonna wear this.
This was my grandma's necklace, and I did take off the small #1 grandma pendant.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. But that'd be funnier if you wore it. If you wore that, I will hug your face and I'll smooch your face.
I'll wear it.
Yeah,
so I
put
can
it on there and rock it just one
Yeah,
time.
yeah, absolutely.
Let's just take a peek.
So then I took it to Goldsmith, and I asked. I was like,
R.I.P. Man, I miss David Lehrer.
"Can you take a chunk, a couple links of this gold chain, and turn it into a ring for my old lady?" And David Lehrer's like, "Yeah, we can do that." And then so I was like, okay. And then I left it there. And then I remember, and then he made the ring, and I got there, and then I was like, turn, because the chain is too short now, because he took links out for a necklace. Turn it into 2 bracelets for my sons or whatever.
Yeah, I
So-
remember this.
How many grams of gold was this thing that you're making like multiple
It's
pieces of jewelry?
humongous.
It was
It's huge. It's
Damn,
huge.
it was
It was
big.
it was a big.
Yeah.
He was actually, my step grandfather was Cuban.
Yeah.
And he was like a
You may have
Cuban
heard
real
of him.
man.
His name was Two Chains. Like-
We called him Didi. And he's the one they found a skeleton, 15 years later, like some University of Miami.
Oh, wow, that's a fun
students.
fact. Thanks for bringing that up. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, we found a skeleton.
How fucking? Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine. You blew Ross's mind.
How cool would it have been if he had worn the necklace
I
out
think-
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
found it with the gold necklace skeleton?
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be
That's
cool.
Oh, those
pirating.
college kids
That's
would
the
have took
Goonies.
it.
That's
Yeah,
called the Goonies. You
dude.
go over, you go to get it, and it
That would've
skull
been a
falls
cooler
off.
story.
That's what
Yeah.
I beat. That's terrible.
So anyway, but I was always like, after David Lehrer gave it back to me, and David Lehrer has since passed.
Yeah.
But he,
Oh man, I miss that dude. He's really instrumental to our jewelry lives.
I remember when he handed me the ring and the 2 bracelets, and I was like, oh yeah, and I'm like, this ring's made out of the same gold, right? And he's like, oh yeah. And then I remember and then I was like, and then I left, and then from that day forward, I've always been skeptical that he actually did take the gold and turn it, or if he just, because if I was him and I was the owner of a jewelry store,
Yeah, you would
and-
rob everybody.
Not
Yeah,
rob.
Is that what you're saying?
I just because it's probably more of a pain in the ass to melt down some, and who knows what, then just do the standard and make the custom jewelry out of the standard gold that they use. Like, I have no doubt.
Interesting. I don't know.
Like,
As of yesterday, I know that one gold bar is worth exactly $1 million, I think they reported.
Well, how much does that bar weigh?
I don't
and
know.
What's the
I mean,
problem?
or what a standard bar is. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't. I guess it's
whatever the ounces is,
Yeah.
it reach. Yeah.
Gold, as of this recording, gold's at an all-time high per troy ounce. It's like 25.30 or something this morning, and 2,500 was like the all-time high 2 days ago.
No,
you
really?
have been listening to Ram. Holy smokes!
I may be keeping an eye on
Are you in the
precious metals
course? You're in
markets.
the course
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow,
I take financial advice.
Give me a coupon code for some of those CDs.
So recently, Crystal took the bracelets out of the safe and she's cleaning them or whatever. And then I was like, oh yeah, one day my sons will wear it. But then I'm thinking, they'll
Why don't you
never
wear
that.
both of them on your penis? Both of them on your penis.
I could start wearing some gold bracelets.
You should do it.
But then I think it's corny and people will be like, what are you doing? Where do you go?
You think
Well, Ross doesn't care. He doesn't care. I care what people think about me.
I made a rude symbol with my hand wearing the gold bracelet.
Like, people wear like you were like, who do you think you are with their gold bracelet? Like, what are you doing? Right? That's what people think.
One of my favorite things that you think people think, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. I need some people to email me and tell me if they think this is it makes me laugh every single time. But you have this concept of a human that's sitting out there just doing things, and you walk, like, let's say I'm at like Best Buy, which is horrible. I'm very scared for my job because it's going away rapidly. And you walk in and you have a bracelet on, and I'm the person you're thinking of, and I look at you and I'm like, has he got a bracelet on? Who does he think he is? I don't think those people really exist because most people are too selfish.
Well, not strangers, but like my friends and
Oh,
family,
okay.
the listeners,
Or me.
and the people I know, because you know me as a person that doesn't like jewelry or doesn't, and then all of a sudden you start
As
acting,
a classless person.
yeah. And then I start acting differently, and then it's like Daniel starts wearing like 3-piece suits to work. I'll clown you.
I did
because
that
I'll,
for a minute.
I'll be like, who do you think you are?
I did that for a minute. I was wearing ties.
Yeah.
Like, be honest with me. You
Yeah.
were there around that time. Were people
On
clowning?
radio station?
Yeah, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Were people making fun of me behind my back for wearing like
yeah.
a tie? And they're like, oh, here comes Billy Barty.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, here
yeah.
comes
Yes,
Vern
absolutely.
Troyer.
Absolutely.
Here comes the
yeah.
tiny midget ringmaster.
Yeah, I would say it. Everybody would say it. Because they'd just be like, oh, who does this guy think he is wearing bow ties?
See,
It's just,
I would.
You can't ever change.
That's what my yearbook says.
Yeah, you just have to keep
I
doing
tried, I
what you're
tried.
doing. You start dressing weird. You're like, what the hell is this guy doing? You just stay the same.
So like Andrew Leskow, the guy that has all the question marks on his suits, he's stayed the same. So you're okay with that?
Yeah.
still
yeah.
finding money for pastry chefs from the U.S. government,
Exactly.
dude.
Consistently weird, right?
You just gotta be, because like if Ross starts doing something abnormal, I'm gonna be like, what the hell's going on? Like,
Why is he working out all of a sudden and getting all into exercise? What's wrong with him?
Working out is a little different because that
he values that
Well,
because
no-
he's working at his
well,
job. You see?
Sure.
I'm
Yeah, because
saying,
it's in his lane.
but style, like working out, like life,
Your
like
style's
style
never been
changes.
better. Your style's never been better.
No, I don't have any style.
That's not true, dude. Damn,
Yeah,
you
well,
can't even take
he
a
is-
compliment.
he
You
is-
used,
Wear the same
you used
garbage.
to dress like a potato.
And now he's wearing Costco pants and a company
No,
shirt.
now he wears like it's better than it's ever been, dude. It's literally better than it's ever been.
Well, it's a bare minimum.
Yeah, let's
I'm 43. Or
let's
two.
look at where he set the bar. His first job, he wore an unwashed costume to work.
yeah. I wear long Adidas shorts,
Like basketball
and
shorts?
ones.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then like I would dress like a slob.
Let's talk about that for a second. I have a hard time wearing long because I have long and ones at the house.
Yeah.
And sometimes I put them on as a 48-year-old man, and I'll be like, you can't wear this. You can't sit around your house in and ones. Who do you think you are, Daddy Longneck? Like that's how I feel. I feel like all old men at some point you have to just sit in your chair wearing like pants and a nice shirt, and you can't dress down. You can't.
Well, Adam Sandler does, like when you see Adam Sandler in tabloids
yeah.
or like TMZ,
He's
whatever.
wearing the cargo shorts, dude.
Well, also he wears the long and ones like down to his ankle and basketball.
But he's always worn those.
Yes, but
Correct.
it does
That's
look.
don't change.
You're right. I guess you're right. Like he's always done
Well,
it.
I'm just trying to,
but
look,
it does look
we're
ridiculous.
just talking it out here, man.
Yeah.
I don't know where I land on this, but going on what you're saying, Like he has his first, I guess, comedy special in like 6 years or something that's coming out on Netflix very, very soon.
Yeah, Netflix is coming off that money for the big guys. Yeah.
God damn! And when I look at him though now, I'm like, whoa, you're old.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with myself.
Also, by the way, those Adam Sandler CDs do not hold up. Like, I don't know if you've listened. Me and my kid went to like a thrift store to pick him up a couch or something, and I was just flipping through. I was like, oh my God, they have Adam Sandler CDs, and we popped one in on the way home, and like Fatty McGee is not funny at all. Everything.
Oh, Fatty McGee. I remember that. Yeah.
The only one that held up, in my personal opinion, my kid also did not like it, was Toll Booth Willie. I like the Toll Booth Willie sketch still. That one.
What about They're All Gonna Laugh at You?
$1.25, please. Welcome to Worcester.
I think that was a different CD, but like this whole CD we listened to, like all the stuff that made me crack up in the back of the soccer bus in 9th grade, none of it holds up.
Yeah. 30 years ago.
It's weird how that happens.
Yeah. It's not the same. It was funny then, and it had its time.
I'm gonna say something's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt some feelings. I've never laughed at the Hanukkah song.
Yeah, no, I mean, that wasn't that. I mean, it was more commercialized and more like mainstream.
But I have heard that. What is his animated feature?
Oh, 8 days, 8 crazy nights.
Yeah, and I've heard that's awesome. I've never seen it. I've heard it's awesome.
I remember it being pretty garbage, but I will speak up for Lunch Ladyland. I remember me and my friends almost dying the first time we saw Lunch Ladyland on SNL. Like, that was the funniest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, extra sloppy.
Sloppy Joe.
Slop. Yeah, I remember that.
And I still
Three old men reminisce.
I cannot hear the word superimpose without hearing Adam Sandler say it as a goat in my head. Do you remember the goat sketch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler, did you watch his Rogan interview when he was talking about I was telling Daniel about it.
Should I watch it? What do you think? Did you just,
see
cherry pick it a little bit?
Snippets of it on TikTok or whatever, which is
what does he think 1 × 1 adds up to?
He was just talking about.
I love Terrence Howard.
So
I love it.
The success. I think Adam Sandler is a direct result and he even mentions a little bit. He's like, when he was young, he had like way more confidence. He thought he was good looking and funny.
I talked to you about this.
And then he, just by happenstance, kind of like he got on SNL and then at first he wasn't. This is what he's saying on Rogan.
Yeah, he said that he thought that was almost like a speed bump.
Yeah, because he wanted to be a movie star anyway. And then so he had these huge dreams and it hit. It hit so early that he never got off of what he thought was funny. And I think later on it probably would have screwed it up because he probably would have had like mainstream production companies trying to change the way because like you're too crazy, But then he parlayed it into $800 million or whatever the hell he's worth or whatever. Yeah. And it was a direct result into him like sticking to what he thought was funny. And then like the world also agreed at that time when it was a different time when basically there was a small handful of production companies that were the gatekeepers of everything, like TV and movies.
But like he was doing some weird stuff. I always feel like like not having
before
anxiety,
the internet,
not questioning yourself, no imposter syndrome, not overthinking, not being totally prepared. Like these are all things that I think about that like he was mentioning, and like having confidence in your looks, even if you're not good looking, just being like almost like it's almost like Fool's Errand style confidence where it's just running wild. It's like so beneficial. I feel like that anxiety or whatever, you're right, like would have just been friction for him and it would slowed him down. It wouldn't have happened.
If he would have taken 10 years to hit it big, I think he wouldn't have the same jokes or he would have never hit it big because people would have probably tried to beat what he instinctually thought was funny out of him. Because this is too weird.
Was anybody else trying to do it? Because in the clip I think you're referencing, he talks about how Ben Stiller was in the space doing like Zoolander stuff, but there weren't that many folks doing like the bizarre, out there, sort of absurd comedy.
What he had going for him, in my opinion, back then in the 90s, was that he was like the only guy making original comedy songs.
True.
And he was on SNL. So he'd get on SNL with like a Lunch Ladyland or a Thanksgiving song or whatever, and then he'd put those on to a comedy CD, and he'd sell 1 billion comedy CDs because people would go buy that for Lunch Ladyland or the song or whatever, and then they'd listen to like Fatty McGee or the Goat sketch or whatever too. And so he sold 1 billion CDs just by being the one guitar comic that was on TV in the 90s.
It's weird that other comics didn't go into comedy songs, especially with the popularity of Weird Al, because Weird Al was also huge in the 90s.
Maybe it's hard.
Yeah. I mean,
It's hard to do well because the majority of your guitar song like comics will just come up with the exact same songs over and over again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
There's a guy in Brevard, and I've said this is this guy's face, so I'm not talking behind his back.
Oh, is this
He
the
does-
disgruntled clown?
No, I haven't met Disgruntled Clown guy yet, though. I'm very excited. I think his name's Sir Winston Pickles. I've never met him, but he's still doing it. He's been at it for like a year now. So if you put on that clown make a year consistently, you got to be at something. I've never met that guy. Now, there's another guy that does, remember Natalie Imbruglia's Torn?
Yeah.
He does like a comedy guitar version that is called Porn. And like, I thought that was one of the hackiest things I ever saw. So I told him, and then I looked it up on the internet, and it turns out like the day that song came out in like 97 or what it was, one of the first videos ever uploaded to YouTube basically was a comedy guitar version of Natalie Imbruglia's Torn that where they did Porn. And so that's the kind of stuff you usually end up with.
This reminds me of like about once a month Tom will try to insist that I write the hit song Trollin' by Limp Bizkit and then put it on YouTube because nobody's done it. And I always tell him, oh yeah, I'll put it on the list. I'll put it on the list. But I'm never,
telling you, that'll be your hit worldwide.
Trollin'.
That's what, yeah. It's a
So,
perfect
like,
time.
So Weird Al's figured out the formula where he can do that successfully, but Sandler was coming up with original stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Lunch
yeah.
Lady Land wasn't based on a song or anything. This was all from
He
a
wasn't doing parody.
crazy noodle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was also kind of weird because he came across too, and I think this does play in like as an everyman,
Yes.
like a normal dude.
And he was so young, like you're saying. Like I was probably like 15 or something when his stuff was coming out. Like kids loved his. We would gobble it up.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, our generation as kids loved it. Like I feel like our parents and our uncles, they thought it was stupid, right? Like your dad probably thought Sloppy Joe
He didn't
was
think
a
it was
stupid song.
He didn't think it was stupid,
or didn't understand
but
why
it
was
wasn't
funny.
his humor. But
Right.
he didn't like really knock on because he's a very funny guy. So like if it wasn't for him, he just he just let it go.
Yeah.
He hated my Dr. Dre CDs. I'll tell you that. And I was gonna say though that was the two things that almost I think all of my friends had in common. You had two CDs. You would have CDs nuts. You would have Dr. Dre, The Chronic, and you would have Adam Sandler. Those two CDs were in everyone's CRX or everyone's Volvo when I was a kid.
Or Jerky Boys too.
And Doggy Style. I feel like everybody I know has a copy of Doggy Style.
Yeah. My mom bought me Doggy Style for Christmas and put it in my stocking. And when I got it out, she's like, "What did you get?" I was like, "Oh, it's Doggy Style." And I don't think she had read that because it's in that graffiti.
Yeah.
Like it's in that that artist just died like last week. The guy that draws all of Snoop Dogg's album covers.
Yeah.
He's like a super well-known. He just died last week.
Really?
R.I.P. to that guy. Yeah, Snoop did this big thing about him and like how how instrumental he was like early on to the hand-drawn covers.
What's the oldest recording of a prank phone call? Because I'm thinking of like
that's a good question.
Because ever since the telephone technology had been invented, and then let's say it got popular enough where there's a lot of people that had it, there had to have been people messing around doing prank phone calls, and like Jerky Boys is the most famous we know of the 90s, but there had to have been someone doing it in the 70s and 80s too, right? We don't know as well.
I remember Thomas Edison invented the phone, and the first thing he wanted to do was a prank call, but nobody else had one, so he couldn't.
All right, I mean, there had to have been some other people doing it in the 60s.
Do you think there were
right?
were there prank telegraphs at one point? Like, what?
Like,
Holy crap, there's a story. All right.
Okay.
This is from ChatGPT. Take it for what it's worth. Let's see how it goes.
The oldest known prank call on record dates back to the early days of the telephone, specifically around 1884. The story goes that a young boy in New York City made a prank call to a local shopkeeper, asking if there was Prince Albert in a can.
Yeah.
When the shopkeeper replied that there was, the boy would say, "Well, you'd better let him out." This type of joke became a popular prank call format and was one of the earliest examples of telephone humor.
So hold on. The Prince Albert in a can, which is now a weenie piercing. 1888 for the weenie piercing? 1888. Are you kidding me?
So it was a brand of tobacco. So you would have like Prince Albert tobacco, and it'd be in a can. So you call up to the store and be like, "Do you have Prince Albert in a can?" And they look at the shelf and they'd be like, "Yes, we have it in stock. Come on down and get some." And you'd be like, "Well, you better let him out." And then the other one, I was gonna cite that one and the one where you call up and go, "Is your refrigerator running?"
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Yes."
You better chase it down. Yeah.
Exactly.
You better go get it.
I think the shopkeeper was like, "I'll kill you." He's like, "You're messing around in the greatest technology we've ever had."
Well, that's like what we called it. We accidentally called in Deland, me and Eric and my best friend Dave, we accidentally called the non-emergency police number or something, or maybe one of them did it as like a way to like F with the other one.
Yeah.
And we called and it was like Deland non-emergency line, and we're like, hey, is Aunt Jemima there? Which slightly racist, I get it. And she was like, no, but Mr. Pancake is, and he's coming to get you, like coming to arrest you. And I pooped my pants. So scared. So anxiety. That was probably my first known anxiety. It was like, boom, I'm going to jail.
We used to do phone book roulette. You pick a number at random, and then it would be how long can you keep somebody on the line. That was our game for a long time.
Okay.
No, really?
Yeah.
I used to do it with Drew. I mean, like the chat room's even reminding me. Like Drew Garabo and I, a radio broadcaster, still broadcasting in Tampa, Florida, we would do, typically on Friday nights, we would go crazy and just we'd play this game where it's almost like password. There'd be a word that we'd have to get the shopkeeper to say.
How would you be able to air it? Because I remember
we didn't care.
Because there always was a thing where
100%.
You cannot put someone on the radio.
No one's ever asked me this.
Without
finally. How many years?
Yeah. I remember
30 years. No one's ever asked me.
I saw
this.
the ghost leave your body. The tension and the stress actually evaporated away.
How good do I feel now?
Yeah, dude.
In fact, we used to be paranoid on the podcast, thinking that it was an actual thing that someone would enforce.
It's not a thing.
And no one.
Yeah.
And apparently it's nothing.
Unless you're fartogram.
It's only a thing to the radio station manager that thinks it's a thing, but it's not really a thing.
Or if you're whatever lawyer got fartogram shut down.
Like it's just not. I don't even.
But technically, it is a thing.
I mean, I guess
it's a law that's written somewhere.
The way that we got around it, and this is how I had to explain it to Chris Kampmeyer, who used to be the vice president of the region
program director.
The program director. He was our biggest boss, and he wanted us to stop doing it. And the BS kind of thing that I told him was, hey, I call places in other states so they don't know who's calling them. And this is before caller ID, really.
Yeah.
It was
a late 90s or a middle 90s.
Don't tell me about it. It's like very much a don't tell me, but I don't care, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I told him. I was like, we would call like Texas, New York,
also
any place out west.
Pre-internet, so it would be impossible for someone in Texas to hear a radio.
Correct.
They literally they cannot do it.
No streaming, no podcast. Nothing was recorded except on a VHS tape.
Yeah, you had to be within 100 miles of the radio station to even hear it. After that, it's impossible.
78 miles.
Or that's insane.
Yeah.
Or be friends with Evil Eye and he'll make you tape.
Yeah. Some of them are still out there. I mean, some of the clips and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got a guest in studio.
All right, I love it.
And we'll be right back.
Perfect. Save that. Where's that go?
That's Monday 3.
Monday 3. Thanks for coming in today, Ross.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always, dude. What date is that?
That is...
Hold on, I got a calendar. This just takes a minute to load up. 26. Yep. Let's see here. All right, that is 8, 26, 24. That 8-minute mark. Perfect. All right. What'd you say, fuck or shit? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, I said fuck.
Okay, it didn't matter, but I just got to get it. All right. Yeah, I was like looking at some like estate sale online or something, and they had a top hat, and it was like one of the ones that collapses. I'm like, oh shit! And I was like, I'm gonna get that for Ross. Holy fuck, they're expensive, dude. My God, I was like, well, I can't afford that for Ross.
I was looking at getting
It's like $400 for this one that I saw. I was like, $400.
They're pricey. Apparently, that contraption is like hard to pay.
I'm like, that can't be more than 35 max.
Or there's no demand for it.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Oh, the White Swallow fartogram with my mom was literally one of my favorite broadcasting moments of all time. I'm so glad I have that. And it's so weird and sort of vulgar and just, but it's such a good capsulization of like the relationship I had with my parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the humor that we had for years. So it's really fucking cool. I wonder if I have that to play while Ross is in the bathroom. Fartogram. Oh my God, it was so fucking funny, dude. Dan Lee, my mom gets so fucking mad at me for doing it. Not really, but sort of. You know, they'd be like, "What are you doing?" He'd be trying to go up to the church to do some fucking real work or something. I'm calling her. She thinks it's an emergency. It's me talking about fucking farts. Idiot.
That's funny.
It is funny. Damn it. I know I have it. Fartogram. I have almost fucking everything we've ever done. Oh, for you punk rock fans, the Black Pacific, which is Jim from Pennywise, that's his other band. They put out an album like 10 years ago. Really, really good. They have a new album coming out. Just released this morning, or just talked about this morning. All right, TC. Would you like to bring us back?
Sure.
This is 4, and we need
Monday.
Yeah. Oh no, Monday 4.
Monday 4. Yeah.
And let me see. What was the time on that?
I think it was like 14 minutes.
We need
We did.
13. Yeah, 13, 14.
Okay.
3, 2.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. We've got Ram Davy in the building.
Hello, gentlemen.
Money, one boat at a time. That's Ram Davy. Buy a boat.
Have you seen the number of boats that Ram Davy
Oh,
has
people are
sink-
buying them.
You know, Ram, pardon, but I don't think I thought people would take to your advice so rapidly.
It is inspiring, isn't it, Daniel?
It truly is. It truly is. People that I see on there, and I'm just going to say what I said. They have no business buying boats. I see people that should. I see people. I'm like, I don't.
I get nervous for them.
I do too. I'm like, I don't think your child has proper clothing on, but you bought a boat. I'm like, okay, hey, do what you want. Not my business.
No business buying a boat. A boat is business, Dan.
Okay, you know what? Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
I gotta change my mindset. I'm trying.
What need hath the child of clothes when it float naked in the water?
Oh my God.
Get that child naked out of the water into a boat. You'll find clothes somewhere.
Man, Ram Davey spitting the scripture. I love it. I
Now-
love it.
now-
Before we get too far in, I usually do just my token. I am going to go ahead.
No.
And generally-
the leading lady is so offended.
Generally, I don't mind because I've stolen this from Daniel.
No.
But today, Daniel, I'm going to let you know you do need to find a better hiding place for your house key. Under the mat is very hack, and I stole this from Maisie's piggy bank. So that is a lesson to you, Dan.
She'll never crack it open. That thing is stuffed full. Oh my God! Well,
It
Ram,
certainly was.
Thank you for being here. I'm the money ripping thing is hard to take. I don't know why. It was just raised differently.
Now, speaking of boats, it's a very sad story, but a billionaire seemingly has just passed away
Yeah, luxury mega yacht.
on his mega yacht because of some crazy water spout.
What a way to go.
Or is it the way to go?
Yeah.
I mean, like off the coast of Sicily. Yeah, I mean,
it's terrifying.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is terrifying. The Italian Coast Guard was asked, "What about air pockets?" And they were, "Let's not talk about that." Honestly, the quote was like, "Let's not talk about that." Like there was like a very nice Italian way of saying there aren't any.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's not
my
a
God.
thing that we,
Yeah.
And plus, I don't even think we can get down there. To even,
Yeah,
so,
isn't it like 10 miles down or something? Like, or like they only,
It's
or no,
like 150
it's
feet.
150 feet, but like because of weather, they have limited time to get down.
Yeah.
It's like a
mess,
window. Yeah, it's a mess.
Anyway,
And what did they find down there at the bottom, Tom? Land. Just like I told you. Everywhere you go, there's land. No need to buy it.
So, Ram, you've told us.
Before we get into it, Tom,
Oh.
let me remind you that you can come out the 5th of September to the Orlando Funnybone down there on International Drive
Yes, sir.
and see the Mo Comedy Jam. I'm not much one for laughing myself, but I understand that it is a good lineup, and it is for whatever reason for a very good cause for the Yellow Brick Road Foundation. I don't know if it was me, I'd make them babies buy their little cancer wagons, but
Yeah, I mean, you got to draw a line somewhere.
this
You gotta
man
teach
Trey
them.
wants
They got to
to
grow up.
This man Trey wants to give little sick babies a wagon. I guess that's his business. Go about it, have fun. Yellow Brick Road Foundation. I personally am inviting you out because there's a cause near and dear to my heart associated with this event as well. I have personally bought that Point Orlando parking garage. So if you
really?
can come out on the
Oh,
5th
my God.
and go to the Mo Comedy Jam
So much weed smoke pouring out of it.
at the Orlando Funnybone, you will be helping support Ram Davey Enterprises. I can't believe it's to me. I found out about this business and I could not believe it. Not only are these, I take a piece of land, Tom, and guess what I do? I build more fake land on top of it.
Yeah, tall land.
And then usually people want to buy land. People are coming to me and renting this land for an unknown period of time, and then I get it back at the end. It's almost like these idiots are lining up to give me money.
There's the ghost of 100 businesses in that parking garage.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the sadness in there.
Yeah, remember the laser gun business or whatever
Hard
that
Knocks.
one?
It was
Hard
called- it was called Hard Knocks.
Like there
And
was some Adobe
Mm-hmm.
Gias in there.
Hey, I liked Adobe. You shut the hell up. I liked Adobe
Yeah.
Gibbs.
Worst cheese dip in Orlando.
True story.
BB King still there?
I will agree with Ram on that. The worst cheese dip in Orlando, but the only place that Dan Dennis has actively seen. I thought you were there. I know Andrea was there. We saw a man in a wheelchair playing guitar in a heavy metal band who fell out of his wheelchair and his bandmates didn't notice. And he was laying on the ground asking for people to actively put him back in the wheelchair. And then it was wild. It was wild.
Mm-hmm. They got a new business going in, which I think will drive my parking lot attendance through the roof. They're putting in a Dick's Last Resort. You ever heard of this one, Tom? It's where you go to eat and have a nice meal while being shouted at by a rude waiter. It sounds like a great business on me.
Yeah. Isn't that just what we do now? It's just normal eating.
They have monetized bad customer service, and that Ram Davey approved.
So, Ram, you've given us a lot of financial advice over the past few months.
I'm surprised you are not studded with golden diamonds right this second, Tom. As much wisdom as I've given you.
He sodded our BDM page with, dare I say, at least 50 boats.
Yeah, I know.
Tons of boats, man. Big boats, small boats, pontoon boats, speed boats, bass boats.
And that's not even counting all the trucks you need to take them boats around and the motorcycles you need to get back and forth from that lake.
Like a small, just a quick question, jet ski?
Jet ski is a motorcycle of the water.
Okay.
We've discussed this.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
fair.
perfectly. If you got to get to the other side of the lake, you don't want to take your boat out. Yeah,
Got
jet
it.
ski, perfectly.
Okay,
perfectly
just want to
acceptable.
double check.
I also like it when you tow your boat with like a minivan or like a small
tiny
Civic.
sedan.
Yeah. Whereas like your tires
like
are
a civilian car.
peeling out trying to get the boat out. Yeah. I like that a lot.
I mean, in DeLand, you would have at least out of every 10, 3 Crown Vics.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah. You wanted the boat so bad you weren't concerned with how to get it anywhere.
And these Crown Vics were ex-Volusia County sheriffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it still had
light.
the spotlight on it. So I mean, I think that's pretty cool.
Ram Davey highly recommends police auction items. Definitely.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
I've got a number of dented flashlights.
So, Ram, you got any piece of advice for us today?
Tom, you got to make money to make money. That's
All
what
right.
my grandpappy always
Write
said.
that down.
All right.
I like that.
And I told you about the goats and the sheep. Get raising them on some vacant land around you. That's going gangbusters for me. I've actually expanded that business outwards. Now, if I find a likely looking spot that is still being mowed by human beings, I represent myself as the landowner and tell them they're fired. And then I install my sheep on the business.
So, okay, all right. So you fire whoever you see mowing the grass, and then that's when they stop showing up.
That grass could be going in my sheep's mouth, making me a little bit of gold. You're fired, sir.
I
And
like
then
that.
this
saves
has
you money too by getting rid of the worker, right?
And you can actually expand this business outwards when these companies start going out of business. You acquire their lawnmowers, sell them on the free market. It's a win-win-win-win-win for Ram.
A win-win-win-win-win. That's 5 wins.
Now, what
That's
happens?
pretty damn good.
I never asked you about this, Ram. When the goats and sheep wander off inevitably into the street and get
struck by a car.
Yeah, by cars and trucks.
Bus or something.
Oh yeah, you sue the hell out of that
Don't
automobile
worry, there you
operator.
go.
I've got Mo DeWitt on a retainer.
Okay,
Anytime
all right.
Mo actually flinches anytime he hears a sheep baa. Now he knows.
He knows.
He knows he's likely to be called into court.
Exactly.
All right.
How many do you have now, would you say, goats and sheep?
First of all, let me throw my little Mo slogan at injured on the Mo, just call Mo. Because
Because
they're mowing. You see, Tom?
You know what? That's the greatest joke you've ever made, Ram. That one really got me. And it also got you.
Now, what happens when the sheep and goats age out and they just stop eating?
Tom, I got news for you. The end result of these sheep and goats, at the end of the day, no matter what, is a gyro. They are being turned. It doesn't matter if that sheep goes to Harvard and gets a law degree, is getting turned into a gyro. Gets hit by a car, being turned into a gyro.
Gotcha.
There is very little upward mobility for these sheep and goats.
So you eventually just sell them for meat at the end of the day.
If you've had a gyro in the Central Florida area in the last 3 or 4 months since I've been coming on your show, Tom, you have eaten some Ram Davy product.
Okay, all right. And so I imagine they eat a lot of cigarettes and
Yeah,
trash.
they probably do. They like what? Yeah, what is your take on them eating things that are other than grass?
I wish I had time to go through these lawns personally and make sure my sheep and goats were eating nothing but high quality fodder before they got turned into your gyros out there. But yeah, they are eating whatever's on the ground. And in a certain respect, you can look at that as recycling. Are you an eco-friendly person? Well, have a gyro.
I mean, goats eat cans, right?
I believe that's a myth based on the fact that they would lick the glue off cans back in the past, but they will eat just about anything.
God,
else.
my friend Ross would know those facts. You remind me of him.
Yeah. It always didn't make sense to eat an actual aluminum can.
But
Like, how would they?
I love things that I got from cartoons that I still believe today. And goat eating a can is something like I remember seeing that in a cartoon that was probably made in the 40s, and I was like, well, yep. There's that, and all Asian people want to blow us up because they did a lot of World War II cartoons.
A lot of people didn't even know, Dan, back in the day, that some of those Ripley's Believe It or Nots were not real.
Yes,
a lot of people just took them at face value.
Oh, we've been talking about that a little bit. Yeah, we have.
I am now seeing a resurgence of people fighting for me now online, saying that Ripley's Believe It or Not is true, and that the stories
have
are true.
advocates now?
Yeah, they're saying that they were vetted.
Advocates now.
And they are true, and it was supposed to be.
I have found that nowhere.
It was supposed to be meant by believe it or not, it's true, not believe it or not. Some of this is BS. So people are.
No, they were giving you a choice. I guarantee it.
Some people are on my side. I'm just saying.
Why did they just stop it with believe it? Why even?
Because the saying is believe it or not, it's true.
Yeah, but why plant the seed if it is true?
Maybe it's like that. They're airborne medicine, and if you really believe that Mr. Ripley found a half goat-legged man out in the Amazon, it really is true. If you believe it.
My wife's doing this now. I'm going to air her out right now in a Ram segment. My wife has my daughter taking these little vials of sugar beads. And she's like, oh, yeah, you take that and you won't get sick. I'm like, get out of here.
Man, what is that?
Oh,
sugar
mumbo
beads?
jumbo. It's mumbo piled with jumbo.
Oh, yeah.
It's jumbo mumbo.
I have to hold my tongue because I have some.
Yeah, I'm triggered when you say that now.
Well, I'm in fact over Labor Day weekend. I've got some of my Spanish friends, and they're coming over, and they believe in all the mumbo jumbo,
sugar beads.
The socks with the garlic and the whole thing. Like
socks with garlic.
Yeah. They're all about socks with garlic and other things and food items in the socks, and they're putting all this Vicks and all the stuff.
We do Vicks. We do Vicks and sugar beads.
Yeah. This and stuff, and then they tell me they're like, it works, and I'm like. I promise you it doesn't. It's like I don't know how to explain.
How do you keep yourself fit, Ram? Like how does a wealthy man such as yourself, like, what's your regimen?
Well, real quick before we get into that, Dan, if you are in the market for some sugar beads or garlic socks, both of them can be catered to you by one of my industries, Placebo Inc. We sell any number of vitamins, essential waters. That's where we dip like a lemon in water for 1 second and tell you it's medicine. Yeah. Placebo Industries. Just look for the big placebo label on the front, and you know that you're getting better.
When you see the big P, you know it's for me.
Andrea can't believe that sugar beads are somehow helping.
I think she's one of the most. I think she's literally one of the most intelligent and capable women or humans that I've ever met in my life. And man, I find these little vials in the trash. I'm like, what is that? What is that? What is this? What is it? And
did you confront her?
Oh yeah, I'm like, and then she'll be like, and she'll bring them to me. Like right now, I'm losing my voice a little bit, but that's because we're hardworking men, and we're flapping our gums a lot in here. We're doing digging in the comedy mines. And my wife's like, take these sugar beads. It's a little. It looks like a little, like an OB tampon. It looks like a little OB tampon or a little vial, and then there's a tiny little cap on it. Looks very sinister too.
Okay.
It's like a little white. Looks very legit, like it's real medicine. And then you take, and then Maisie's all ate up with it. She's already in it. She's in the cold.
Well, you can indoctrinate kids.
I gotta get her out of it. I gotta get her out of it. Like
Turns out you can give kids just about any form of sugar and they'll eat it.
yeah, sugar beet. And then so, she's not in there. And then you take off the top, and it makes like a little pop noise, and inside of it looks like those granules that you would find inside one of those packets that they put inside beef jerky to keep it moist. You know, there's little, sugar in the raw. When you go to like a restaurant, and they have sugar in the raw, and you're like, I hate sugar in the raw because it sucks. It looks like sugar in the raw. And it's these little beads, and Andrew's like, oh, you got to take them. And I'm like, what do they do? And she's like, it will make you not get sick. And I'm like, how? How does it do that? She's like, like she's
they do that.
Yeah, they get mad. And I'm like, I just want to know. And she's like, take them. I'm like, I'm not taking it unless you tell me what it does.
And they're always like, it works. Trust me. I'm like,
Dan, I can assure you that the sugar beads from Placebo Industries, the sugar beads meet 100% of your daily required bead nutrients. Every bit of bead you need in a day.
It's 100% bead.
Yeah. It's the bead vitamins.
It's good.
Yeah. I wish he would pop in there, but I don't know what the hell it is, dude. I have no idea what these little vials are. And some other mom got her on it, right? And I know that. I was like, where'd you get that? She's like, oh, such and so gave it to me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's infecting my family. It's a sickness, man. I got to get it out.
And to answer your question real quick, Dan, in terms of physical fitness, I get most of the physical fitness I need in my day moving my bed 1 foot over every night. And as you recall, my bed is made out of gold bars, so that is a laborious chore. It is a laborious chore, and it does get my cardio in for the day.
Oh, here's Christine. Thank you, Christine. She put it in the chat room for me to read to you guys. Trusted for nearly 80 years, not by me, oscillococcinum continues to be a convenient and reliable first choice for relief of flu-like symptoms. It has been shown in clinical studies to help reduce both the duration and severity of flu-like symptoms such as body aches, headache, fever, chills, and fatigue. And a lot of people in there, including Frog and Molly, Christine, a couple others, are like, it totally works.
And I can assure you that Placebo Industries sugar beads contains none of that garbage. It is 100% sugar-coated beads. Placebo Industries.
But how would I know if it works?
Yeah.
Because what we're trying to measure is just like the length of time that a virus takes to get out of me or whatever, which has always varied.
Yeah.
The good things about placebos is that they don't work. So if you decide they work, they've worked exactly as much as they were ever going to do. So
something interesting. Christine says, she continues, this medication contains trace amounts of duck liver and heart and is known to be a good immune booster.
Christine, I don't want to ruin your day here.
No, she didn't say she was all in on it. She's just giving us the info.
Or anybody that says it. But Ram is right. The placebo.
You go after Andrea. You already called her a liar on Friday. She was in here.
No, I just said she
telling
may
a
have been
story. And he's like, you a liar.
No, I just said, are you sure about that? Which is essentially calling someone a liar.
It's a nicer way of doing it.
And see, it's a good example, Tom, of like reaching out, doing new things. For example, I did not know there was a market for ducks at all. I go past a pond with 100 ducks in it every day. Start cashing in them ducks.
Christine says, yeah, I don't take this. I just looked up, quote, what it does. I don't believe in it either, dude. But sometimes I pick my battles. And
now that I know there's a market for the heart and the liver, I bet there's a market for the feather, and I'll be gall darned if I don't sell some duck bones by the end of the week. I bet I sell some duck bones for a pretty penny.
And the logic behind when they present to me, but it works, so why not take it? If it works for me, why not? What's wrong? Why are you so mad? Like they come at me about it.
Yeah.
And then that argument is
just pretend to take it. Just pretend to take it.
I'm sorry, Tom. What did you say? I was on my phone. I found a guy in China who will buy as many webbed feet as I can sell him. Doesn't matter. Frogs, ducks, geese.
A bag of feet.
Yeah, just webbed feet.
Yeah,
this man is nuts for them.
And to that,
there are actually videos of that on YouTube of people just buying bags of feet on like Thailand streets.
I usually my retort is yes, but it's not doing anything. It's your brain that is
just give up.
You
just gotta give up. You gotta give up.
But I'm like, so doesn't it bother you that you know it's not doing anything? That it's your own brain convincing you that it is doing something? It's just placebo.
They believe it's doing something.
Yeah, but it's them. It's your brain. It's not actually the sugar beads. Doesn't that bother you?
I believe in beads. I don't believe in brains.
I'm like, how does it not bother you?
I'm like you, Tom. I feel sorry for these people who have these brains that tell them they're walking around doing good things instead of that brain like you have that just tells you that you hate hate everything you do.
Yeah, that's true.
I know.
These poor
He's already
people.
queuing up the hate before you even tell him what it is.
These
man.
poor
Yeah,
people.
You can feel it.
How do you not hate it? Anyway, Ram,
Always a pleasure, man.
before we leave, any parting words of advice?
Thanks for having me in, guys. If you're one of my scientists in my employ, we're going to start looking into brain transplants. That's going to be a new thing we're going to be looking into. And come see us at the Funnybone on November 5th. I will not be at the comedy show, but I will be in the parking garage. If you forget to validate, I will be there to take your money. I will not validate. I will not validate. I will take full price. Thank you.
Okay. All right, there you go.
Ram Davesy, everybody.
Yeah, Ram Davesy.
We will see you tomorrow. That was fun.
Oh, that's fun, dude. That's always fun to do.
Yeah.
I feel like I just pretend like I'm.
I know, yeah.
I like pretending that I'm like doing a morning show, and then this guy comes in and it's like, "It's our financial guy." Oh, good. And then I just I go to a different place, and I just kind of play. It's fun.
You know, I saw
I
like
think it's good for my.
You guys like play characters too.
No, it's good for my skills. I feel like it's like I feel like we're training in here, and I also start to sweat every time we do it. I don't know if you notice that, but I get a sweaty butt when Ram comes in because I feel like I'm trying to work. Yeah, I don't want to end it. I want to try and set you up. I want to yes and you around.
You're
That's fun.
You're walking the tightrope, and then at the end you do that run, or you just run for the side of the as you kind of start landing, you made it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Watch that show Nathan For You.
Is it on? Is it
Yes.
YouTube?
Yeah, okay.
I remember that show.
You said tightrope. I just watched one where he's like, he found this dope who's like up to nothing. And he's like, I'm gonna make you a hero, and so he learns how to tightrope walk, and he like puts on a fat suit and pretends he's this guy.
No, I've never seen that.
He's tightrope walking, and he gets him a girlfriend. It's nutty. It's insane.
Yeah, that show. Is that the show that did the ice cream that was poop?
I think he had another one.
Well, one was where like he would do like he would turn around businesses to get them like trending.
Right.
Yeah.
So he went into this frozen yogurt place and he made all of their flavors like shit flavors.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And then it was funny.
I remember that show. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
funny.
That was a long time ago. That was at the old studio. You told me about that. That must have been like 10 years ago.
Yeah, and he did that thing where he made like a fake Starbucks.
Yeah.
All right, I'm turning on
Zoom for Peter
Zoom
Funt.
for Peter Funt.
Oh, you guys got something going on?
We just
Yeah.
at noon now. Peter Funt is doing a Zoom call about some book he wrote on fantasy football, and he can only do it at noon.
He is in the.
I'll get out of your hair.
Yeah, I'm good, dude. That was funny.
You guys have fun.
Great job, buddy. Always a pleasure seeing you, man. Let me go to here. I don't know why it's not finding my virtual camera, which is not good for Peter. He's not going to be able to see us. How do I fix that? He's in the waiting room. See you, buddy.
See ya.
Are you guys coming out to the show?
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there.
Shit, that's never happened before, buddy.
Maybe we have to reset.
I don't think I can. I could kill the stream, I guess.
I see the video with the slash through it.
Peter Funt. He should. Yeah, like we'll be able to see him. He's just not going to be able to see us. Because normally, when you do the virtual camera, it kicks back what we're looking at to him.
Yeah.
It loops it for him so he can see us. So let me just put him in here and I'll mention it to him. Peter, what's going on, man? Can you hear us? You may not be able to see us. We're having a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, and you're right. I can't see you,
Okay.
but that's okay.
Well, you look great. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah, I got
Hey.
I got you lined up
right.
looking great. I'm going to try a couple of other little things here, but I don't want to waste your time, so we'll get moving. But as long as you can hear us okay and still, look into the camera, you will look and sound wonderful.
Good.
All right.
Perfect.
How you guys been?
Real good,
Good,
man. How
good.
about you? Congrats on the new book. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. This was really fun, and hope I sell a lot of copies. But even if I don't, I learned so much. A lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it seems like you have that, and I don't want to get into my questions yet, but yeah, let's go ahead and
Yeah,
do it. All
let's
right,
do it.
TC, you ready to start, buddy?
Yep.
Here we go. In 3.
Hey guys,
Yep.
Yes, sir.
how much time we gonna give this?
Just 20 minutes.
20
if
minutes?
you're cool with that.
Great. Good. Got it. Go.
All
Perfect.
right,
All right.
here we go. 3, 2.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. On Zoom with us
One
right
of our
now.
favorite guests. I mean, we had
Yeah.
this gentleman on, how many, was it a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while back. You know him from Candid Camera.
You do.
And recently he wrote a book about fantasy football, which me and Daniel are big fans
We
of.
are indeed.
Our draft, we got one draft coming up tonight, and then
yeah.
another draft coming up in a week or so. We've been playing for years. And Peter Funt wrote a book all about fantasy football, Inside Fantasy Football. How you doing, Peter?
Hey, good morning, guys. Nice to see you. And yeah, this is peak time for fantasy football, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And you know what's funny is that we've talked to you, and we loved all your stories. Our listeners love all your stories. I never put 2 and 2 together that you, like, we've never asked you, I think, about your a love of sports or a love of I know you have a love of knowledge, and I know you love, like, reading, gathering knowledge, and writing, but I didn't know, are you a fantasy football dude?
Yeah, but let me be clear. I may have a love of knowledge, not to be confused with actually having much of it.
Gotcha.
But I admire those
Us
who
too.
have knowledge.
Yeah, us too. We're in the same.
Look, I love fantasy football. I have for a long time. And here's what I love about it most. There are over 50 million Americans like us who play fantasy football, and every single one of them is an expert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Because
know.
They
but-
think
Yeah.
they are.
I'm sitting with one of the foremost experts that I've ever met. Me,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a little more casual than my business partner, Tom. But yeah, we both definitely love it. And what
Well, my wife tells me, believe me, Peter, like every year I don't win my league, and she's like, "Why do you spend so much time researching then?" Like she's like, all that time away from your family, researching, listening to podcasts, you should win your league. And I'm like, yeah, it's harder than that.
It is hard.
And so, so I'm curious, like. Let's go back to how fantasy football even started, because you go over that in your book, correct?
Yeah. And let me set the stage for you guys, because I don't want the listeners to think I'm audacious enough to give advice about how to draft, how to win your league,
Sure.
you know, the best picks or anything. That's not my area of expertise by a long shot. So what we have here is everything else, because I became really curious about, well, what's the backstory about fantasy football? How did this start? And who are the real experts? But what do they do behind the scenes? And who are the celebrities who are into fantasy football?
Sure.
And then this is interesting. Who are the really big winners? I mean, the guys who win millions of dollars. And what are their lives about? Where do they live? How do they operate? And the more I looked into all this stuff, the more fascinating it became. So what you have here in my book, which I wish I had a copy, I'd be holding it up right now. They didn't send me one yet. So I hope if you get one before I do, you let me know how it looks.
There you go.
But this book, Inside Fantasy Football, is everything you'd want to know about fantasy football, except how to win.
So,
Well, there's many different ways to win, too. In fact, you know, not
Yeah.
to brag, but I am the only person on this show that's ever won the league.
Okay, well, there's
And
a lot.
Oh,
And I'm a casual. My
Okay,
the trophy's right there in the corner of the room.
Well, that is a case to be made that it's all luck.
That is a case. That is a case.
Which makes me insanely mad
Yeah, do
because
you
I want it
cover-
to be skill.
Do you cover luck in the book at all, Peter?
well, yeah. That is one of the root discussions about fantasy football. Seriously, in state legislators, is it a game of luck or a game of skill? Because luck would have it covered by gambling rules, and skill would put it in a separate category of, separate fantasy football rules. And so that is actually a legitimate question. I think the obvious answer is it's both.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a heck of a lot of luck involved, but then again, the more skillful you are, you make your own luck, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like playing poker where, like, yeah, the best will lose, but over time, the best will win more than the amateurs.
I've also never given you my true feeling on whether it's luck or not. And I will say that draft position, who you get because people come off the board.
Injuries.
That I'll go with luck. But what you do when you're picking up people on the waiver wire and you know that fourth back is going to be like now he's coming.
You're following information.
Exactly. And you do a lot of that. So I think it can be both.
So, Peter, let's go back to like how did fantasy football start? And through your research, when did it really blow up? And what what's the effect it's had on sports? Because I know on like the NFL and really all sports, like it's done tremendous for the marketing of these sports because now people have vested interests in games they normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, it started in 1962. And it was guys who were connected with the Oakland Raiders. In 62, the Raiders were in their third season of existence, and they really stunk. Their record that year was 1-13.
Ooh.
So a guy who was a minority owner of the team and some guys who worked with him on the Raiders, to be honest, they were kind of envious of the other owners and the other teams who had all these really good players, and the Raiders had nothing. So they basically invented this game where, at least for fantasy purposes, they could pretend to have the big stars like Jim Brown and Mike Ditka and Frank Gifford of that period and fantasize, if you will, that they were on their team. And that was how it started. They started a group in Oakland, and they called it the Greater Oakland Professional Pigskin Prognosticators League, otherwise known as GOPL. And that was the beginning. That's what they did. And they never, by the way, this is interesting, they never used the word fantasy.
Really?
That word didn't come into play until decades later. And no one really knows how that word got started in this game.
Whoa.
So what did they call it? The guys back then in 62 called their game the draft. That's what they called it.
Huh.
And that sort of underscores the importance that we still all know today, that drafting is perhaps the most exciting, interesting element of certainly seasonal fantasy football. And that's how it got started.
That's crazy.
But for the longest time, it was really a semi-secret type of operation. It spread very slowly across the country. Remember, there were no computers at that time, or not home computers.
Sure.
And so the guys who were trying to do fantasy football were using paper and pencil and keeping track of all the stats and looking at newspapers. In fact, the GOPL guys would phone around the country to various beat writers at newspapers and try to, get some inside info about who was good and all. And they didn't get very far because it was suspected that these guys had to be bookies or gamblers. And of course, the newspaper people wanted nothing to do with them. So there was a lot of confusion about fantasy football.
Yeah, I was sort of wondering if, like, in the beginnings, you said like 1962, the GOPL guys, they get this thing together. It's based on, people within the Raiders organization. Was it frowned upon? Did they kind of have to keep it secretive? Because, like what you're saying, in people thinking that, yeah, go ahead.
It's such an interesting circle. When they started, they were doing it in part to promote professional football. They actually thought it would help promote the Raiders if it got big enough and all of football. So that was the actual starting point. But as fantasy football became popular around the country in the next 15 to 20 years, the NFL went completely against it. They hated the idea They thought it was a form of gambling. They didn't want anything to do with it. And they were very sour about fantasy sports. Then, and we got into the late 1990s, into the 2000s, and it became a really, really big thing. And then you had FanDuel and DraftKings and others entering the picture. And finally, the NFL woke up and thought, wait a minute, we've got this all wrong. This isn't a bad thing. This is arguably the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yeah, 100%.
Fantasy football is arguably the best marketing tool for the NFL that could ever be invented. And nowadays, of course, well, heck, 28 of the 32 NFL teams are actually linked contractually to fantasy football platforms. The NFL has its own fantasy games you can play on NFL.com. I mean, they're into it all the way.
Yeah. It's huge.
It's so funny to look back because I remember when I first started playing fantasy football early 2000s and 2003 or something.
Yeah,
and,
that sounds about right.
But I remember no one, like ESPN, no pundits ever talked about it. Like they were being told like that, don't talk about gambling or the spread or fantasy points.
It was more frowned upon. It almost felt like medical marijuana or something.
Yeah,
it was like, don't talk about it.
They were like hiding it, but it's so like you're right. It's the best thing that's ever happened to the NFL, especially, and they rejected it at first. Like it's funny they didn't have the foresight to see like, hey, if everybody got into playing fantasy, people are going to now watch like other teams besides their home team. Like everybody's just watching their home team. Now people are going to have reasons to watch Green Bay if you're Miami Dolphins, like all these other teams.
It created, in effect, its its own economy. Think of the millions of parties that men and women are having across North America. I mean, it's an economy in itself that will fund sports bars. Like sports bars right now are counting on fantasy parties. Yeah. Counting on them.
You know, you mentioned women in that last sentence. That was one of the discoveries in my research that really blew my mind. The fact that we've got somewhere between 50 and 55 million Americans who currently play fantasy football. That I don't find hard to believe. But 1/4 of them, 25%, are women.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean
that really surprises me. I mean, I know there are more and more women involved, but 1 out of every 4? Wow.
Well, I mean,
that's amazing.
Just testing our chat room right now, Peter, just to kind of like, hammer it home. Christine, who's a lifelong listener of ours, we love her. She says in the chat room, I have 3 draft parties in the next 2 weeks. It is a sickness. Yeah, man. Like once you get into it, people really love it.
We have a woman in our fantasy league that we've had for nearly 20 years together.
Susie.
We've all played, and she's won the most out of everybody, which really, Peter, as bothers me a lot. I don't really,
it makes us very angry.
And I'm not even that sexist. A little bit, but but just the fact that
she's really good.
It just gets me. Anyway,
you're only slightly sexist. I get it,
yeah, I'm just being.
Things are really changing and rapidly. A few weeks ago, the Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association inducted their first woman into their Hall of Fame.
That's huge.
So that's a breakthrough. Her name is Stacy Stern, and she's a vice president at Underdog. But she's the first in the Hall of Fame. And the same month, Matthew Berry, who gives out this moderately prestigious award called the Matthew Berry Award, gave it for the first time to a woman, Stefania Bell of ESPN. So, yeah, things are really changing and women are getting more involved. And one of the most interesting pieces of my research was tracking down and interviewing the only woman so far in fantasy football history to win $1 million prize.
Damn.
And her name is Alicia Hunt, and she lives near Chicago. and she plays fantasy football, mostly DFS, daily fantasy football, on DraftKings and FanDuel.
That's crazy.
But a couple years ago, she won 1.1 million. Here's the thing, most of the big DFS players go up to the max, which is 150 lineups that they can enter each week. On this particular week, Alicia entered 3 lineups.
Okay, so she was the anomaly.
Lord
because
have mercy.
I was about to talk to you, Peter. Like the guys that win
The daily stuff is a grind, dude.
the daily fantasy, they have computer programs that just set their teams. Like my brother-in-law, he's won 6 figures off of DraftKings.
He's doing it.
And
He's doing it.
And which is, I didn't think I'd ever know someone that won, because I was like, oh, the people that win are, but he's got a software where he picks his like maybe 20 top players, and the software makes teams. Like he picks what's the most valuable, but the software basically fills in 120 teams or whatever the max is, using different combinations of these players. And he's like, this is the only way to actually have a chance to win, because that's what other people are doing.
That's largely correct. No doubt about it. Daily fantasy has really become a match of computers.
Yeah.
And whoever has the biggest computer or the best software has the best chance of winning. But let me tell you something. A very, very renowned TV analyst, who, in fairness to him, I'm not going to mention by name, but when I spoke to him about this, he said, oh, look, daily fantasy is really luck. And the proof of it is that, like the lottery, the same people never win more than once. And I bit my tongue and I didn't challenge him. But the truth is, he's completely wrong. The really good players with the really good software win multiple times. There's a guy who's a professor at the University of Connecticut named David Bergman, and he is a brainiac about this stuff, and he's won over $20 million in fantasy football, multiple wins, because he's figured it out and he's got the software. And I don't mean we could do that. You got to have both his brains and his tools, but the same guys do win a lot.
Yeah. Which does kind of
It makes it more like poker.
make the argument that it is skill. Like, even though he is using computer software, but it's like, so that they do that in stock market, and they do that in any market of gambling as well.
Yeah, it would be unfair to say, and this is what my compliment to you earlier. It's like, I see the amount of knowledge that you use to tender your team. There are luck elements, and you can't control those. But if you can control what you got, it's just like controlling a hand in poker, right? I mean, it's just being smart about what you got.
Well, let's talk about best ball for a minute, Peter.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Explain that to me.
It's a new, I say new, it's been around for a while, but essentially it's fantasy football, but you make you have the draft at the beginning of the year, and then your team is set, and that's it. It's set it and forget it, and then it's whoever scores the most points. Like, you'll have 3 quarterbacks, you'll have 5 running backs, you have maybe 6 wide receivers.
Injuries and stuff, right?
Yeah, so you could have injuries. Your player could be gone for the year, but you don't redraft anybody throughout the year. So essentially, it is the most luck-driven form of fantasy football, but a lot of people prefer it because they're not. You don't have to pay attention to it.
Easier?
It'd be a little bit easier, more universal for people.
Less, it's like bacon. You don't have to tend it, stand over it all day.
What do you think, Peter?
Well, from what I think, and in fact what I know, this is the hottest thing in sports, at least if you put aside gambling. In the fantasy world, certainly, this is the hottest thing. It is revolutionizing fantasy football. It is being promoted primarily by Underdog, but the other platforms are certainly getting into it. In the simplest terms, the advantage of best ball is that number one, you really only do the draft, and after that, a computer takes over. So you don't have to manage a roster, fix a lineup, do waivers or trades or anything like that. You set it and forget it with the draft. That means several things. One, you can do as much of this as you want. An executive at Underdog told me that they have customers who draft over 4,000 different rosters in a year. So you can do it almost limitlessly. And even better, perhaps, is that you can do it 365 days a year. Underdog started running best ball drafts for the 2024 NFL season back in January before the 2023 season was even over, because you're just speculating about what the best roster will be come September of 2024, and you're drafting, and you take your chances. So it is a big darn deal with big money. There are guys who have won multiple millions. Underdog has what it calls Best Ball Mania, which has a top prize this year of 1.5 million. The top prize recently was up to 2.5 million. It's a big deal. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. It's addictive. And for those of us who love fantasy football and really love the sweat of the draft, boy, best ball is great.
Quick question from the chat room, real quick. Did you find that the age of fantasy football is starting to get possibly a little younger, maybe younger kids?
Yeah.
Or is it still like us, like, 48 guy? I'm a 48-year-old guy. Tom's 42. I mean, is it getting younger?
Yeah, I mean, it like sports itself, it's spread across all demographics and all age groups. But there's no question that the 13-year-old to 18-year-old group is getting bigger and bigger percentage-wise in the fantasy football world. But these younger people are playing more DFS, best ball, and other new formats, probably not as much in the standard seasonal redraft leagues, where the most people still play, but they do tend to be a little bit older.
Gotcha. Yeah, it does. That makes sense. That what we would do, we've been doing it for how many years have you been doing our legacy league now? 13 years, 10 years?
Well, it's almost been damn near 20.
Yeah, it's
I think
crazy.
we started in 05.
So it would make sense that kids would start playing fantasy football in a different way, and we do the dumb old man version of fantasy football.
Peter,
that's fun.
They've got the devices. They're wired in, and so they like the faster games. Part of the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings emphasized daily fantasy was that they felt the seasonal game was too slow. The pace was too slow for the younger generation, who like quick and instant gratification, and that's how daily got so popular.
So, Peter, let's end with this. Can we all agree to get rid of kickers and defenses in our stupid fantasy football? Because I've been making this argument every year to our entire league. But let's just get it out of here.
I do love winning by a good kicker, though. I do love winning with a good kicker.
Let's put a two super flex in there so we can have two QBs running. Let's just get rid of kickers.
Listen. Hey, best ball on Underdog, no kickers, no defense.
I know.
Okay.
That's
all
why
right.
I like
all
that.
right.
Yeah,
Maybe next year we'll do that. We are in a guillotine
there
league.
There are a lot of new formats coming along. Matthew Berry's company just bought the company that runs these so-called guillotine leagues.
Yeah, we're in one.
Yeah, that's our guillotine league
okay.
draft is tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
We started that like 3 years ago. That's pretty fun because you get kicked out if you the lowest score gets kicked out every.
And then you cannibalize everybody else's players.
Yeah. And then you curse out
Very
everybody
good.
else. And when you get kicked out, you're like, F you.
Yeah.
I didn't like you guys anyway. I'm glad that I'm gone. And then everybody's yelling at
I'm
you.
really bad at that league.
All right. So, to wrap it up, the name of the book is Inside Fantasy Football. It's available on Amazon,
Love it.
Barnes & Noble. In fact, on my website at candidcamera.com. So many ways to buy it. I hope you like it, folks. And if you do, send me an email or a chat message or something and tell me how you like the book.
Awesome. Peter, as always, man, we love getting to chat with you. And congrats and good luck with the book, man. We hope it goes well for you. And good luck with your fantasy football season.
Well, you two guys, take care.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll see you soon.
See you, Peter.
That is legendary Hollywood candid cameraman Peter Funt talking to us about fantasy football, which is cool.
You know what we should do? We should send him an email. We're like, hey, you want to get in a league with us?
We're in a league with Peter Funt from Candid Camera.
you, Peter Funt, and we'll get some listeners
We'll
in
get
there.
EJ in there. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
EJ's in the guillotine league. I'm tired of.
Are you tired of looking at EJ?
No, I'm tired of hearing him give
He's
me
mean.
his thoughts.
Yeah, he's giving me he's like, pay you the money, or like we're gonna bully you. He's mean lately.
All right. We will see you tomorrow.
Okay. Fantasy Funt Ball.
Fantasy Fund.
Fantasy Funt Ball.
All right. So we got
What time's Mark Norman? in?
1. He's gonna call us
Oh,
at
okay,
1.
great.
So
All right, we got 30 minutes. We'll be back in